Good evening. Welcome to Fox 54 News at 6. I'm Kenesha Dees. The investigation into Cameron White continues to snowball after he was arrested for allegedly abusing children in his former role at the Trinity Church Child Development Center. White was arrested on January 22nd, and the allegations have been building in the days since. In just 2 weeks of investigations, Huntsville police have charged White with 8 counts of child sexual abuse. And the 3 newest charges indicate investigators could be looking as far back as 2021. Fox 54's Caleb Aguayo shows us how this investigation is unfolding.
The investigations into alleged child abuse at the Trinity Child Development Center have catapulted in recent weeks. The Huntsville Police Department says the official investigation began on January 21st, with HPD arresting White a day later. Since then, police have added 7 more counts of child sexual abuse, totaling a bond of $400,000. And it's all happened in a matter of just over 2 weeks, whereas typical investigations could take a matter of months or years. Local law enforcement experts say it could mean police have a large amount of evidence to support the claims as even more victims come forward. And it's not just interviews with the victims. Former investigators and attorneys on the case say they've reviewed physical evidence like medical examinations and footage allegedly showing White making inappropriate contact with the victims. According to a former police investigator who currently works with the Alabama network of child advocacy centers, the investigations involve multiple levels of corroboration.
Typically, you've got evidence that supports the claim. And if you've got more than one victim, that presents a stronger case. In a lot of cases, especially if it's similar outcry. So you've got 3 or 4 different, in this case, children saying basically the same thing independently of each other. That kind of strengthens the information that you're receiving.
The Huntsville Police Department said the charges filed in recent weeks don't end any ongoing investigations. They said they can confirm the charges filed so far are based on reviewed evidence, like forensic interviews and church surveillance footage. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
So Caleb, 8 counts of child abuse,
yes,
correct? And then $400,000 in bond.
Yes.
And then we're learning that it may take months, maybe even years for this investigation to, I guess, wrap up. But there's still so much more in store we're learning.
Yes, that's absolutely right. I mean, it's only been a little over 2 weeks since, White was arrested. And I guess those charges have come in slowly but surely over those 2 weeks. It's been a rather quick 2 weeks overall, but it's been kind of gradually set. And each charge is currently set at about $50,000, I believe, making the bond total of $400,000 with those 8 counts. And investigators are still looking through some of the footage. They're talking to, some of the children and the families that were involved with all that, and they're still learning more. And we're not sure yet whether there will be more coming as time moves on.
Thank you for sharing that, because I know the defense attorney had put out a statement about evidence. Yes. And so video is part of what investigators are looking at.
That's how they corroborate that.
All right. Thank you so much, Caleb.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's get a look at weather. Here comes the sun. Beautiful. We could see here another picturesque view of how our weather looked throughout today, this beautiful Friday. So happy to see the sunshine, something we haven't seen in quite a while. Let's bring in Fox 54 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Jordan, is this warmth going to stick around?
Honestly, the warmth is not going to stick around. As we head into the overnight, we're going to begin to see temperatures drop off somewhat quickly on the backside of a cold front that's been moving through over the last few hours. But it's only going to be a short break from the warmth. The warmth will return. I'll explain it all eventually once we get to the 7-day forecast. Live look out over the Parkway this evening. A beautiful evening. Cars seem to be moving smoothly on this fine Friday evening. Still relatively warm across the Tennessee Valley, but temperatures are beginning to slide off somewhat quickly, especially across northwest Alabama and up across southern and middle Tennessee. Pulaski and Fayetteville both sitting at 54 degrees. Florence sitting at 54. Russellville sitting at 56. Huntsville sitting at 56. But we're still holding on to the upper 50s over in northeast Alabama. 57 right now in Scottsboro. 55 degrees right now in Fort Payne. These numbers are going to continue to slide over the next several hours. It's going to be a cold night and a chilly Saturday, but then we warm up again as we head into your Sunday, and then we're talking about fake spring as we head into the early part of next week. We'll discuss it in just a couple of minutes.
A warm welcome back. Crews with Decatur and Athens Utilities are back home after helping with power restoration efforts in Oxford, Mississippi. Nearly 7,000 Mississippians still remain without power, but restoration efforts have seen 12,000 people get their lights turned back on. Fox 54's Gabe Glassman has more on their efforts.
These crews from Athens and Decatur Utilities helped restore power to thousands across state lines in Oxford, Mississippi. The city saw large impacts from the recent winter storm, with crews from Athens and Decatur spending over a week restoring power to people affected. We spoke to Oxford's mayor, Robin Tannehill, who has ties to North Alabama, and she says the local crews were some of the first to help the city.
It's just overwhelming relief when you see those trucks rolling into town. And, numerous times our guys have gone to help communities that have had tornadoes and hurricanes. And, I guess I just never realized what a relief that was to those communities when they showed up. But I just had tears in my eyes as those trucks rolled into town. And I grew up in Florence, Alabama, so it made me real proud of North Alabama to see Decatur and Athens rolling into town. I had the privilege of visiting with them at breakfast one morning. They stayed at the Hampton Inn and had a breakfast there for all the linemen in town every morning. And I went one morning and got to thank them myself. And it just, we just all hugged. And they were like, nobody knows how bad this is. You have to see it to believe it. And I said, yeah, you left your families to come and take care of ours. In these dangerous and freezing cold temperatures, I could just never thank them enough.
From the Fox 54 studios, I'm Gabe Glassman.
Mayor Tannehill says all Oxford residents went back online earlier this week. Huntsville Utilities says their crew, who have been assisting in restoration efforts in Nashville, Tennessee, will also be returning home. Authorities in West Lauderdale County announced today that the boil water advisory for its service area has finally been lifted. West Lauderdale Water and Fire Protection Authority began refilling its water system Monday after nearly a week of outages caused by last month's winter storm. Officials say all water samples have tested clear of any contaminants, and customers can now use tap water normally. A mistrial declared in the case of a capital murder suspect in Morgan County. Kendall Rucker, charged with the murder of David Galate and Sharonda Bolden back in 2018. According to the Morgan County District Attorney's Office, a jury was unable to reach a unanimous verdict, leading to the mistrial. A second trial will now be set for a later date. A Crossville man will spend the next 12 years behind bars for manslaughter in connection with a child's death. Authorities responded to a fire in the Grove Oak community with a child inside back in July of 2023. Crews found a boy trapped inside who later died from smoke inhalation. Officials say Bradley Blanks started that fire while making meth inside the home. Blanks pleaded guilty to manslaughter Wednesday. He's held in the DeKalb County Jail. A man faces 3 counts of attempted murder after he's accused of shooting at officers earlier this week in Albertville. Officers arrived in the 100 block of Bob White Drive Tuesday after reports of a fight between 2 men. Officers moved the victim to safety, but Nicholas Gaspar fired at officers, authorities say, when they attempted to approach him. This led to a standoff that lasted roughly 2 hours before Gaspar surrendered. He was treated for a gunshot wound at Huntsville Hospital and discharged Wednesday. He's held at the Marshall County Jail on a $1 million bond. The man found dead in his home earlier this week, now identified as 69-year-old Martin Tubbs, who was found inside his home in the 6,000 block of Jones Road Wednesday. Colbert County officials say Tubbs was seen alive the day before, and there were several items of interest inside of that home. An autopsy is being conducted by the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences. Officials haven't charged anyone for Tubbs' death. President Trump has approved $15 million in community funding for transportation infrastructure and workforce development needs across North Alabama. The funding includes $2 million for the West Aviation Center project at the Huntsville International Airport to enhance aviation infrastructure. More than $5 million will go toward widening Capshaw Road, while $3 million is allocated to widening Slaughter Road. Representative Dale Strong says the funding will help support the region's growth. The Alabama House has passed a bill cutting the costs of voter rolls, but restricting the information available on them. House Bill 67 would prohibit personal information from being released to the public. This includes driver's license and voter identification numbers. The bill would also limit charges for voter rolls to $1,000. If passed, the law will take effect June 1st before this year's elections. The bill, sponsored by Russellville Representative Jamie Gill, will now move to the state Senate. The Alabama Senate also passing a bill requiring App Store providers to enforce an age verification system for minors. House Bill 161 would require app stores to request age information from users and verify if using commercial available methods. The bill, sponsored by Representative Chris Sells, who filed a similar bill last year, that sparked debate, with opponents arguing the bill was unconstitutional. This bill will now go back to the House for a concurrence or conference committee.
AI is an exciting and new technology, and there's a great amount of learning to do here.
Uncertainty with how stable the job market could be in those two letters, AI, could be the cause of it. Stay with us. We have a bit of Black History Month trivia for you, and it ties to the Tennessee Valley. Stay with us. President Trump says the U.S. economy is doing great, but there are some signs that trouble could be ahead. Key job indicators show an increasingly shaky labor market, and some experts believe AI could be driving the concern. Fox's Caroline Shively reports from Washington.
A jumpy stock market opened Friday with questions on artificial intelligence and how it could change product demand.
AI is an exciting and new technology, and there's a great amount of learning to do here.
AI concerns also hitting the labor market. Federal data released Thursday shows job openings dropped in December to the lowest level since 2020. Many companies are still figuring out how to integrate AI into their companies. Industry leaders in the White House have different views.
Will it eliminate jobs? Yes. Will it change jobs? Yes. Will it add some jobs? Probably. It is what it is.
It'll be the greatest jobs producer. It'll be the greatest military producer. It'll be the greatest medical producer.
Another indicator released Thursday, 231,000 more Americans filed for unemployment last week than the week before. That's still within the historically low range of the last few years, and possibly due in part to the winter storm leaving some temporarily unemployed. Another potential factor, the Trump tariffs.
Manufacturers shed workers in each of the 8 months after President Trump unveiled his tariffs.
The University of Michigan released its preliminary consumer sentiment index Friday morning, showing a slight increase from January to February, but still well below this time last year. Some Republicans are now asking why sentiment isn't more positive.
Consumer confidence is not really rebounding the way that the economy seems to be.
The next data to watch is the employment report out Wednesday, releasing 5 days late thanks to the 3-day government shutdown. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate decreased in 2025 last year, with under 3% of the population being unemployed as of December. Hike a trail while learning Black history. One of many events happening this weekend. We have those details ahead. And Jordan, will we maintain that warmer weather this weekend?
For part of the weekend, yes. For another part of the weekend, we're going to talk about some cooler air as we head into the front half. We'll discuss it in just a couple of minutes.
Check this out. NASA is sharing a stellar time-lapse view of auroras from the International Space Station. You can see green aurora ribbons hugging Earth along with the thin orange glow of our atmosphere tracing the planet's edge. NASA says auroras are the result of charged particles from the sun colliding with gases in Earth's atmosphere. Guided by Earth's magnetic field, oxygen contributes green and red light to auroras. Nitrogen produces blues and purples.
Now, the Tennessee Valley's certified most accurate forecast from the FOX54 Weather Impact Team.
Yes, perfect weather did grace us today, and I certainly took advantage of it. No clouds, no rain. Well, some clouds, minimal clouds, but more so blue sky, lots of sunshine. And then we had that warmth.
Yeah, we finally got to have our cake and we got to eat it too.
Yes.
Because it seems that we've been on this theme the last few weeks where we get sunshine, but it's miserably cold outside. Today, you kind of summed it up. We had the sunshine and it was warm.
Yes, it felt like an early spring.
It did, didn't it? Maybe a nice little tease.
Yes.
But that in no way, shape, or form means we should get our hopes up, because we need to all remember it is still early February. Temperatures did a really good job at climbing this afternoon. Now, it's important to note here that we actually started the day in the upper 20s and lower 30s, managed to climb into the mid 60s. We saw 64 today at the Huntsville International Airport. Look at how warm Florence got. Florence got to 69 this afternoon. Moulton saw 68, Coleman saw 66, a pair of 64s for both Pulaski and Fayetteville up in southern Middle Tennessee. The average high temperature for this time of year, right around 55 or 56. And it is important to remember that we still have a lot of winter left to go. On average, the last freeze does not occur across the Tennessee Valley until we get to the later part of March, or even as we head into the early days of April. A quick little system is going to move through the Tennessee Valley this evening and then into the overnight, and it's going to drop our temperatures as we head into the front half of the weekend. So this warmer afternoon we saw was very much a short-lived thing. But then the dropped temperatures are also going to be a short-lived thing because warmer, more seasonal air is going to move back into the Tennessee Valley as we head into your Sunday afternoon. Now, it's also important to note there, Sunday morning is going to be quite cold. You're going to want to plan to have the heavier coat for Sunday services and Sunday breakfast, but then we'll be warmer Sunday afternoon. A good dose of fake spring is going to move into the Tennessee Valley as we head into next week. You'll see what I mean once we get to the 7-day forecast. Now, that quick little system, it's not really going to do much for us other than drop the temperatures. Maybe it brings an increase in cloud cover as we head into the later part of Saturday morning, but that'll be about it. By the time we get to the lunch hour, we're talking about a mostly clear sky. And then from there, we maintain that clear sky through the rest of Saturday afternoon, the evening, the overnight, and then early into your Sunday morning. Now, what that clear sky is going to do for us Saturday night, Sunday morning is it's going to allow temperatures to slide off. As we head into Sunday afternoon, still talking about plenty of sunshine. No real opportunities for rain in the forecast until we get to Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Those are going to continue through Thursday and Friday. Right now, just a 30% chance of rain on Friday. I think I'm probably going to end up bumping that up in later iterations of the forecast. Models really kind of already agreeing on that rain chance for next Friday, which, by the way, would be February 13th for all of your Valentine's Day planning purposes. Live look out over the Parkway southbound on Memorial Parkway. A fair amount of traffic this Friday evening, but it is moving smoothly with quiet weather conditions. Temperatures beginning to fall off somewhat quickly this evening, already sitting at 51 degrees. Pulaski and Fayetteville up in southern Middle Tennessee. Florence is sitting at 54. Huntsville sitting at 56. We're actually going to drop into the lower 30s as we head into the overnight. I've got a low temperature right around 30 degrees. And then from there, on the backside of that quick little system, the temperatures only climb into the lower 40s tomorrow afternoon. Some of us are probably going to see the mid-40s. But then seasonal as we head into your Sunday, highs climbing into the mid and upper 50s. Have a good look at the next 7 days. There's your weekend, 46 Saturday, 55 degrees on Sunday. Fake spring moves in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. A pair of 67s Monday and Tuesday, 65 degrees next Wednesday. But again, we're also talking about several opportunities for rain next week. No day looks like it's going to be a complete and total washout, though, so a little bit of good news there. We stick with the above average temperatures as we head into next Thursday and Friday. I've got 60 degrees on Thursday, 57 on Friday. Again, pay attention to that low temperature on Sunday morning. We're going to start the day in the mid-20s, right around 25 degrees.
The weekend is here and it's finally warm and sunny across the Tennessee Valley. So here's your weekly roundup of the events happening this weekend. First up, Joe Wheeler State Park is hosting a free guided hike tomorrow themed around Black History Month. You'll get a chance to explore the history of outdoor spaces for Black residents before desegregation, while highlighting how historical policies shaped access to Alabama's parks and natural areas. That hike starts at 7 a.m. Next, the Calvary Hill Community Center will host a free choral concert tomorrow. The concert features performances from local high school and college choirs. The concert starts at 5 p.m. And if you're looking for a new furry friend, Huntsville Animal Services is hosting a special indoor adoption event tomorrow at Haley's Flooring and Interiors. You can meet adoptable dogs and cats in the showroom, and all adoption fees will be covered by Haley's Flooring. The event starts at 10 a.m. and wraps up at 1 p.m. As always, if none of this is your style, go to fox54.com for a full list of this weekend's happenings. Well, did you know the first Black woman to go to space was born right here in North Alabama? Mae Jemison was born in Decatur, though she grew up in Chicago. She attended Stanford University, earning degrees in chemical engineering and African American studies. She then went on to receive her medical doctorate from Cornell. Inspired by Sally Ride, the first woman in space, Jemison applied for NASA's astronaut program. She was accepted in 1987, one of just 15 selected from 2,000 applicants. Jemison flew her first space expedition as a mission specialist aboard Space Shuttle Endeavour on STS-47. On September 12, 1992, she and her 6 crewmates launched into space, making history.
Games like the Super Bowl usually bring together families on Super Sunday, but that's not the case for a father-son duo who will be on the opposite sides of the fence this weekend. Stay tuned for their story, which is next in sports.
Fox 54 Sports is sponsored by Alpha Insurance.
Super Bowl Sunday is this weekend, and for the Rodriguez family in Vermont, Sunday football is a tradition, even if it means cheering for opposing teams. Our sister station, WNEP, catching up with a father and a son who will be rooting against one another this weekend.
This is going to be a party.
In this Underhill home, Sundays have always meant football.
Good memories.
Representing their teams and the bond between a father and his son.
A lot of excitement every Sunday.
Gerber Rodriguez became a Seattle fan long before he became a dad. Growing up in Seattle, the city's teams were his teams. And when Sam was born, he tried to pass that love on.
When he was a kid, I put him on a Seahawks gear. There's some pictures around.
Sure, there are photos, ones that Sam keeps hitting, but in New England, loyalty comes first.
This is my home, I root for my home team, root for represent my community here.
2 teams, 2 generations, 1 living room. Then came the Super Bowl, and a goal line play that still lives in NFL history.
I thought the game was over before the big play.
I'll be reminding him every chance I get of the Malcolm Butler interception.
So the banter comes with the territory.
Sam Darnold's going to start seeing ghosts.
So does the noise, and another Super Bowl just raises the volume. But what doesn't change is why they're here.
It's just something that brings us closer together. It's nice. It's great time that we can just spend together watching the game that we both love.
It's been amazing, and it's been amazing seeing him grow and how much love he has for the game.
So as the game nears, the celebration in this home comes with plenty of
food. Yeah. We make a lot of food. We're probably going to have like 30 people here, if no more.
That does for sports. I'm Mo Carter.
Coming up tonight on Fox 54 News, after the game, authorities still searching for a mother and her 2 children who mysteriously disappeared last week. We'll bring you the latest from that search. President Trump unveils a healthcare initiative, a website to help you find prescription drugs at discounted prices. We'll learn what this website can do and how it may impact the industry here in Alabama. And the Decatur Utilities crew returned home after helping restore power in Mississippi, but the job is far from over. We'll tell you what's left tonight after the game. And as we gear up for the Super Bowl, it's almost time for the annual Puppy Bowl. Team Rough will take on Team Fluff. This year's event will also feature 15 pups with special needs and a special exhibition game spotlighting senior dogs available for adoption. In all, the Puppy Bowl will highlight 150 dogs from more than 70 shelters. The 3-hour show will air on Sunday, which is at 1 p.m. I don't know if I want to do Team Rough or Team Fluff. They used to have a kitten bowl.
They all look incredibly cute, especially the little French bulldog there at the end. I've never actually watched the Puppy Bowl. Have you?
I've watched the Kitten Bowl.
Is there even much structure to either of them, though? Like, what are you watching if you turn on the television? Like, I have a dog at home I could watch play with a ball.
I think all it is just them running to one end and yeah.
And hopefully maybe a couple of them get adopted at the end of the day. I suppose that's probably the overriding goal. A quick look at the next 7 days. A little cooler on Saturday, contrary to the warm air we had this afternoon. 46 degrees, 55 on Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday does look quite nice. Good news if you're going to be like me and spending time outside cooking. And then fake spring moves in next week.
Fake spring. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you after the game tonight.